Hello, this is Mariah and Jake, and we are demonstrating our web map for Dr. Ames's Civil Engineering GIS programming class. So our web map gives you a tour of the wonders of the world. We have two pages here, one for natural wonders and one for classic wonders. You can see a brief description of these, this category of wonders of the world, and then go to a map for an actual tour of these wonders. As you can see, you can navigate and interact with the map as is, or you can go using the sidebar. You can zoom to each feature individually, and then you can click on it and see some more information and link to a website. So you can see and read more information about each of the features in another website. So the natural wonders are traced out with lines and shapes, and the classic wonders, those from the ancient world, are shown with points with the locations of where each of the features is standing or used to stand. And here again you can zoom to a specific area and see what the region was like. So with that, let's dive into the code. The code is all licensed under an open source BSD2 clause according to the agreement for the Tethys platform that we use to create the app. And so the shape data we made using Google Earth, because the Tethys app building platform that we used uses KML, and KML is the native file type for Google Earth. So it's very straightforward to make KML files in Google Earth. You can do a point, polygon, or line. Here we're at a point, and you can design the pop-ups and everything from within Google Earth. It just uses KML or HTML type of text to make the description and everything. You can change the style and color. For point data, there's an icon here you can click and actually change what the icon is. Here we added a custom icon with the link to the web link to the picture. So you have a lot of customization options here. Because this is HTML, you can easily give it tags to format your pop-up within Google Earth. So finally, after you've made it, you can save it as a KML file. And then we put these KML files into a folder that is referenced by our code. This is what the KML file looks like. A couple things to notice here is here's the tag for the description. And here you've got your descriptive text and the picture link and the hyperlink for more info to the other website. And then here are the coordinates. In this case, this is a shape. So there's the latitude, longitude, and altitude for each anchor point of that whole shape. A point would only have one latitude and longitude.
So in order to make these KML files show up, we'll go over how our website is constructed. So we'll start at our home page. Key in here is our links, and we'll talk about how that's structured first. So here we call a URL going to home, which is just this page which we're on, and then we have natural and classic, and we give the text this hyperlink. And now what it does is once you click on one of these links, the URL goes to our app.py. Now this is the URL, for instance, for classic. So it's found here, comes over here, and it checks the controller, which asks for a function to render the page. So now if we go to our controllers py, you'll see here we just tell it to render that URL as a web page, and then it returns that web page back to app.py, which then returns a new map, or a new page in this case. So that's how the links work. So if you want to add a new web page, for instance, you create your HTML page here, give the same name as what it is here and what you'll call it, and then the URL, which is the file path within this folder. So going back to our home page, just a couple more things. We have the app content. So here we give it the web page title, a little description, and an image. Pretty straightforward. We also customized, going to the base, we did customize our icon. So you'll notice here we have a link, so that when you go to the web page, if you remember, you can click on that and it takes you back to this home page. The way we made it work is we used that same linking that we told you about before, and then had the image become the link. So now we'll talk about how we created our map. So let's go to the natural tour first. So starting at the top, we have our navigation pane right here. This is where all of those buttons showed up on our map. Shows up on this side. Here what it's doing is when you click on it, it calls a custom function called zoom2, and then we give it an ID which is specific per KML file that we are using in the map. And we'll show this function a little later. First we're going to talk about how we generated each KML file as a layer in our map. So we got our style sheet from Dr. Ames, who has a Hydra map using open layers, and we're using the open layers text, and we're also using their library, open layers 3, for our code. And we come in here, establish our projection, and this is our base map. We pull it off of MapQuest from open layers again, and then here we create a new layer for our KML files. And what we do is we call in the KML, well, we create the variable layer, and then we establish its projection and then give it a static reference to the KML file we created. So this, for instance, is Victoria Falls, and it shows up right here. And then we give that layer a custom name, which we define as, in this case, Victoria. You can give that whatever name. Now this name corresponds with this ID in our custom function. And we established each layer, and then we created an array of each of our layers, including the base map, and then it renders as map. And we create a view. So we create the map object, give it the layers, give it the view, establishing our max zoom. We don't want people to be able to zoom in too far because it blanks out the map, the base map. So give it a maximum zoom. Now going back to what we were talking about before with the navigation bar, having those buttons zoom to each of the wonders, we have the get the map layers, and we're passing in that ID or the name of the layer, as you recall, Aurora for instance. And so Aurora gets passed in here when you click one of the Aurora button, and it loops through the array of layers until it finds the name of the layer equal to the name of the wonder that we passed through. Now once it finds it, it changes the view. It gets the view to fit the extent of that layer, getting the extents and the size, setting it equal to the map view. And now we'll talk about the pop-up and how they work.
So for the pop-ups, we make a variable of the pop-up and tell it where to position. And then we make an event that's going to be on click. So that's the trigger for the rest of this function. It'll destroy any pop-up that's up right then, and then it will figure out which pop-up to do and where to place it based on the geometry of the feature that you're clicking on. So it'll get the feature geometry, and then for point data, it'll get the coordinate based on the feature, and then set the position of the pop-up according to that coordinate. Now it's different for line and polygon data because you can't have it passing in all of the points for the whole polygon. So what we did was we still had it check the geometry so that you only have a pop-up showing up when you're clicking on a feature, but then you actually get the coordinate of the event being clicking. So then it'll actually set the position of the pop-up to the spot where you clicked. So as you can see here on the natural wonders, when I click, it shows up the pop-up around where I actually clicked, and that way you can click anywhere along and it corresponds. Thanks.